before, you may have seen the pictures of James Taylor was a sketch artist who went around with the Union Army and sketched things as they happened, kind of like on the spot. So there's a famous picture that he sketched of the Confederate prisoners behind iron gates that went all the way around this courtyard. Now, in the early 1900s, the city decided to get rid of the gate. The clerk of the court at the time was a man named Whitaker. He worked up in the building, up in those windows right there. He heard that they were going to get rid of this fence. He said, well, I'll take it. I'll put it around my family cemetery. So he bought it, and I heard rumors that they had it, but nobody knew where it was. So I went and found the family. I talked to the oldest Whitaker still in the family and said, oh yeah, my grandfather bought that and put it in the barn. But it was in too bad of shape, so they sold it for scrap during World War II. And I was like, no! He goes, but the gate is still there at our family cemetery. So I went up to the family cemetery, and there was the gate. It was a small little gate. There's two. There's one on this side and one on this side. So I'm like, do you think that your family, if I replace that gate, they would allow me to take that gate, donate it to the museum, and we could have a living history piece inside the museum? He's like, I don't really think the family would be down with that. So it was fortuitous that the next month I was at a historic Winchester event, and I met a Judge Whitaker. And I was like, oh, you're Judge Whitaker, your grandfather was the clerk of the court. And he said, yeah. Let me tell you a story. I tried to get this gate, blah, 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 blah. He goes, well, you don't need that gate. I've got the other one hanging in my barn. I was like, what? He said, yeah. So we got it, brought it down, we donated it. Jack has it. They're going to sometime figure out how to display it. It's kind of big, but it's kind of cool. But you never get to touch anything in a museum, right? So you're going to be able to come in, touch this gate that thousands of soldiers went through and touched during the Civil War. It's kind of cool. Tangible history. Or you may have seen the pictures of Stonewall Jackson came to town. He spent a very special Christmas in 1861. He had his wife come and visit. And at Christmas, they were invited by Dr. Hunter McGuire. Dr. McGuire lived up here on the corner. We'll pass his house on the other block. Now, their young daughter, Getty, she was talking to the general. General loved children. He never had photographs really taken of him. He didn't like photographs. But Getty asked him, she said, well, General, I would love to have a picture of you. She kept begging and begging, and finally agreed. So Sandy Pendleton and Henry Kidd Douglas, who were with Stonewall Jackson, came here to Nathaniel Rousson's studio, upstairs right here, and had the famous Stonewall Jackson picture taken. Anybody familiar with that? When he showed up and sat down, he was missing a button. And Rousson said, sir, you're missing a button. He said, reached in his coat pocket and took it out, got needle and thread on the spot and sewed it on himself. And if you ever, when we walk up here, there's a picture of it up here. He was a great general, but he kind of sucked at sewing. It's a little crooked, but well, you know, we'll give him a little. But that happened here. And also here is the Miller Drug Store. It started almost about 1780. So think about Boston, think about Philadelphia. This was the longest continuing running drugstore in the United States all the way up into the 1980s. Longer than all those, you know, and that's insane. So now it's a restaurant, but we've got some really great ghost stories in there as well. That's a whole nother story. Stonewall Jackson came to town.